Welcome to No Question About That. This is our season preview with Daniel. How's it going, Daniel?
It's going good. I'm 46 years old.
Oh,
And I'm excited. I'm excited, Edward. What about you?
for the return of football, yeah. Well, we haven't lost yet, so I'm still enthusiastic. What will it be like on Sunday? Will it be chaos on the internet, or is 21 coming? Well, we'll find out. We're going to try and structure this, look a little bit back at the preseason program and what we've learned. We did a tactical preview yesterday as an accompaniment to this as well. We're going to look at the transfer market, where United are strong and where they're weak still, and what might happen in the next 2 weeks. Think about the first 10 or so games and the start to the season, which is really tough, and how that may set the tone for the season. I suspect it really will. And have a think about what is acceptable, what is good, what is not good this season, make some stupid predictions at the end, and that'll be our season preview. All right.
Before we start, look what I
Yeah.
Look what I found. I went to my parents a while ago.
Oh, classic from the 80s.
I think
Earlier.
I'd say earlier than that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I fucking coveted this as a child.
That's
My
great.
dad had it. And then I brought it home. And usually when I would return with tab this ilk, my wife's like, what the fuck are you doing? Bringing us more clutter. And she used to work when she was at law school, she worked in Annie Hindmarch. So knows a thing or two about an handbag. And even she had to concede that this was a glorious item.
No, just looking at that badge, it's probably, I'm trying to think when that badge changed to the current one. It would be in early 70s, actually.
I reckon early to mid 70s, this bag. It's the kind of thing I kind of almost don't want to use it.
Yeah. Cherish it. Very nice. Well, if you go to Old Trafford this season, you'll be subject to some deep inspections alongside your NFC ticket that will no doubt not work. And all of that.
To restore some cosmic balance of a previous visit where my parents were like, "We need to get rid of your shit," I threw things away. A few things I threw away I regretted. I threw away all my old football trophies, kind of regretted that. And do you remember the 93-94 team photo where the players were in the Newton Heath kit with the moustaches and the overcoats?
Yeah,
and flags?
absolutely.
So I had the original of that from the Man United magazine. And in a moment of I don't even know what, I tossed it.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I really, really regret that.
Deary me. Deary me. Never throw away your memorabilia. Yeah. Very good. All right. So preseason, it was kind of mixed program. Lighter than in previous seasons, but they've had a lot of behind closed doors games. Like, for example, this week, there was a full first 11 versus under 21s game. They've done quite intense training sessions. Apparently, it has been hard, quote unquote, said Brian Mbumo. And then they had games against Leeds, Bournemouth, West Ham, Everton, and Fiorentina, which ended with a couple of draws, which burst the balloon a little bit after lots and lots of enthusiasm on this here podcast about how United performed. So, I mean, how are we feeling about those first sort of 6 warm-up games and the training and all of that kind of stuff?
I mean, the training, I feel quite good with the training. I feel in good shape. I'm sure the training has been hard because they're not fit enough.
Mm-hmm.
We could see over the last few seasons they've not been fit enough, and I think that it is about trying to be at least as fit as the fittest team at the start, and then deal with the rest afterwards. Like Fergie was well into having them peaking kind of sort of around February, March time. We don't have that luxury. We have to be good immediately and then see what happens. So I feel like they will be fitter because the manager will have seen that they're not fit enough. In terms of the actual football, it's difficult when in the preseason games because what kind of happens, and Amorim's not as bad at this as Ten Hag, but Ten Hag would be giving like 45 minutes to all manner of dickhead who was never going to feature rather than giving the team a chance to bed in. But we haven't seen an hour of the first team, have we?
Not really, no. Yeah, it is interesting. I thought they might build up to that a bit more, and that the game against Fiorentina would have been effectively the first team and quite a few of them getting 90, and that really didn't happen. And that's part of the reason why they've had their behind closed doors and the intense training sessions. So they've looked at, apparently, I think this was the Athletic reporting, looked at the load of minutes people had, and they had more intense sessions for people who not had enough minutes to get them up to speed. All of that kind of stuff. Was the football good?
How did they spend 8,000 words doing that? The other two?
I know. Well, I can't bitch too much. I like a long read as well on my Substack. So I started out thinking, well, I'll just do a weekly newsletter, and then it's ended up at 2,500, 3,000 words every week because
long reads are good if there's information or opinion or thought or linguistic flair to fill the space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's entertainment as well as information, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, we talked about it with Darnish on the Tactics show. Not a lot of change. I mean, it's the same model, effectively. I was kind of impressed with Patrick Dorgu, like a lot of people, about just how aggressive his positioning was. Very, very high up the pitch in areas where he can cause more damage. The delivery is so-so still. I would say Ahmad played a few games at right wing back, not all of the time. And we'll see where Brandon Bumo's fitness is. He might not start against Arsenal, for example. It may be Ahmad in that role and Dalot behind him.
Oh, my goodness.
Which, I know. He'll run all day, Dalot, and he's always fit and available, but that's the problem. He's
on which
fit
point,
and available.
The leadership group, right?
Mm-hmm.
The leadership group is Bruno, Harrens, Mazraoui, Dalot. Is there one more? Is that it?
Sure. Luke Shaw.
Sure. How many of them are first choices?
Yeah.
It's quite, I thought that was quite odd. And I totally appreciated the rationale where he's saying he's trying to reach all the parts of the squad. We don't know what the little friendship groups are. And also, I guess the first team is going to be, and Martinez. The first team's going to be quite young. I don't think Shaw's in it. Is he? I think Martinez is, though.
Right,
he's the other one.
Yeah, I can't remember.
But the reason why I was surprised was because you could have a bunch of guys in your leadership group that are well pissed off. Like Mazraoui, he's not going to be a regular this season. Don't think Dalot is. Harrens probably isn't once Martinez is fit, and even maybe before. So there's Bruno, and that's all. Is there anyone else? I think that's all. That's it. And so I was quite surprised, I guess, by the people he wanted to honour with responsibility, just because I'd be trying to honour some of them with a fuck off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you're right about it looks like quite a young side this season. So, I mean, Mbeumo and Cunha, fairly senior players, but Sesko, young. We're going to have Menu, Ugarte, both fairly young as core players in midfield alongside Bruno. And then the back three could well be quite a lot of Yoro, one of De Ligt or Maguire, and quite a lot of Aiden Heaven as well before Martinez gets fit. Maybe Luke Shaw. We'll see. Maybe Mazraoui, and they'll rotate around. But yeah, you're right. And Dorgu's young as well. So probably quite a young team, which is about right, I think, for United's place in their development. Try and go from 15th to something. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, I mean, back to preseason. I mean, it feels like okay. I mean, people say preseason doesn't matter. I think it does. It's not just about fitness and preparation. It's about all that time getting the game model right. It can't be learning anymore. They've had 6 months of this now, and no excuse. They have a good 6 weeks in preseason. They're going to have one game a week for most of this season. Like, that can't be the excuse. Like, no, they have to know what they're doing now, don't they?
So I guess the way I conceptualize this in my own head is that I really like the manager as a bloke, and not just in terms of I'd like to have a drink with him, although I would. That I think that his ability to inspire, motivate, get the players going in whatever way, and with that kind of hard, honest care, those three things that Fergie had, I think they're all there. I'm not at one with the system. I think there's a really good 4-3-3 team in there. But which is fine, because if we have to fire him, then it's not. I feel like it's a situation where you've got to sell everyone. I mean, we'll see how what they do in getting him fired and how much we hate them in November. But in theory, so I guess the way I look at the game model is more. I now feel like if we've got his HR skills plus the players we've got, between the two of them, they should have enough to get by any glitches in the system, to override any glitches in the system. And let's be very clear that player quality is always, and player mentality is always the most important thing. Doesn't matter what your fucking system is. If your players are shit and the mentality is shit, you're not going to win the thing. And So the way I conceive of it now is that even though there's this system that I have doubts about, I hope that the quality of player plus the quality of manager interpersonal skills will be able to override stuff that might be inherently wrong within the system or need tweaking. But I do think we might need to wait. In that the players that we have, we should score goals against every single team, and every team will fear playing United now because of what we can do going forward. But it might be a while before we see the automatisms or the combination play. We'll be relying on counters and moments still for a little bit while everything beds in.
Yeah, I thought in the match against Bournemouth in particular, there was a lot of very slick passing through the midfield, and it felt like, the very detailed, prescriptive type of training and coaching that Amorim does was starting to come to the fore, and we were starting to see some of that, right? It was a lot of very nice one-touch play, the rondos in midfield, but also the positioning of the players, some of it, as I mentioned, very stark. You could see it, like what the change is. And so some of that happened, and then kind of slipped back into some of the old sort of inability to create anything, struggling to play out through the thirds from the back into midfield in the Everton and Fiorentina matches. And you're like, oh, right, maybe that was a good wake-up call and just to remember that player quality is the thing that matters, and there are some young players who are still learning the craft, and probably a few that aren't quite up to snuff still in the squad, that will take another couple of windows to fix, right? And which I guess brings us onto the transfer market, because that's been an awful lot of what the summer's been about. Obviously the bomb squad, and Amorim took that decision to ice everyone out that he just decided they weren't on the same page as him, or he didn't like their quality, or whatever it is, right?
Because the thing is, right, I think it's not that it didn't. It's not about quality. This, I don't think, exactly, because we know, right? He wants fucking rid of Rasmus Højlund. He wants rid of that fucker so much, right? We know this.
Yeah.
But he's training with the team. Why?
Yeah.
Because he's not an arsehole.
Yeah.
And I'm not judging these players that the manager thinks are arseholes. I mean, I'm speaking from the manager's point of view. He doesn't want Rashford. He didn't want Rashford. He doesn't want Garnacho in particular. He doesn't want them anywhere near anyone. Now, he might be wrong in his assessment of them, or that they're trouble, or any of the other things that he might say that they are. But to me, and I'm sure he wants rid of Onana as well, by the way. But he's integrated those guys because they're not bothering him. So I think the bomb squad is not just a point of, I want these guys sold because I don't want what I think they're good, is that I don't want them near the players who I want to have a good atmosphere with.
Yeah, and that's totally fair enough. The coach has to make that call. It's on his head, isn't it, when he does that? It has an economic impact in that we're seeing with, Marcus Rashford, hopefully Barcelona could register him, because if they can't register him, he's not moving to them on a permanent basis next summer. Garnacho, Chelsea are playing silly buggers with the fee there, and no doubt Garnacho's people are doing the same thing. They're presenting to the club one option in order to reduce the fee and increase his wages. Yeah,
Imagine someone asks you, what do you do? Oh, I'm one of Alejandro Garnacho's people. Oh, okay.
Yes, big flashing red neon cunt sign above their head. Yeah. Sancho, I mean, obviously the club want nothing to do with him. Even if rumoured Amorim wanted him, I don't think they would have any. I mean, there's just too much having gone on there. Sancho appears to be saying no to everything, probably in order to get a late loan, in that he can get a free transfer next summer.
It sort of feels like he's made that call, doesn't it? Because you never know exactly what the offers are, but it feels like he could have gone somewhere that would have been fun in some way. Like going to Besiktas to play for Ole, that to me seems like quite a good laugh. I think you have a good time there in a league where you might be able to excel, and where the atmosphere will be something that you'll tell your kids about. Probably could have gone to Italy by now as well. So it feels like he's actually, and he didn't go to Chelsea because of the money. It feels like he said, it's probably my last contract, maybe in parentheses in his head, because I'm a wastrel. Don't know. But this is the last contract. I need to get as much out of it as I can. And I'm not even really criticising him. If he decides that's what he wants to do rather than play, that's totally up to him. I don't give a shit. I mean, I'd like us to sell him because I want to use the money, but like his professional decisions, not really any of my business. So I'm not judging him on that. If it's a short career and he wants to make money, fair enough. But yeah, it does feel like he's not going anywhere permanently this summer because he wants a big move when he's out of contract.
Yeah, and it's pretty difficult for United to extricate themselves from this general market perception that they are bad sellers and they can be bullied all the time. Right? I think that's the general perception with United, and there aren't too many occasions where we've got really good fees for people in the last 10 years, basically. And
you look at Liverpool, right? They sold Ben Doak today.
Yeah.
Well, they are selling Ben Doak for
25 million.
25 million, or Django Ouattara is going from Bournemouth to Brentford 40-something million. And I saw you said this on Twitter about Garnacho, where you were benchmarking and saying, I don't know if Ouattara was in the list, but
he wasn't. No,
the one that's really stands out to me is Anthony Elanga. 55 million quid for Anthony Elanga. He's not better than Garnacho.
Absolutely not. Not even close. And has nowhere near the ceiling. This is the best Anthony Elanga will ever get, and it wasn't even that good. He's a very specific player in a counter-attacking team, and he suits Eddie Howe's Newcastle. If Howe gets sacked by the regime and they bring in a possession-based...
The regime? Suddenly it's a dissident.
Yeah, that's right. Eddie Howe goes very silent for a while. Yeah. Then Elanga will be in real trouble, but...
Yeah, the left Valencia of side.
Power to the people, says Anthony Elanga. Yeah. I can't... I mean, he may be a nice bloke, Anthony Elanga, but I don't think...
Yeah, but Eddie Howe's a swat.
Utter cock. If his career goes south, I will have no sympathy for him. Talking of which, Sancho, as we were talking about, I don't know whether this is right, but TMZ had a report today saying he'd got his girlfriend's middle name tattooed behind his ear. His girlfriend, apparently Sweetie, the rapper. I wish this report is true. It's probably fake.
How and why are TMZ interested in Jadon Sancho?
Well, they're probably interested more in Sweetie, who's entertainment.
Oh, I'm not. I don't think I'm familiar with her.
I'm not. I couldn't name a single song to sound all boomer all of a sudden. But yeah, I just really hope she dumps him. I think it would be kind of sweet. Pardon the pun. And the final member of the bomb squad, I guess, is Tyrone Malacia. I don't know whether he's... I can't imagine he's trouble. I just think he's like, there's not a chance he'll ever play for United again.
Well, United pissed off
that he didn't... years.
Yeah, that he took his rehab elsewhere. Don't know.
Maybe. Who knows? I mean, they will sell him for £1 million or nothing.
Which is funny because when we bought him, and I hadn't really ever heard of him, and Leon with the other club in for him, it felt like, okay, like 15 million quid of speculation. Whatever happens, however bad this goes, we won't make a loss when we sell him. However, we have excelled ourselves once again.
I know. All right, well, that's all the negative stuff. And I mean, you're right with Onana and Højlund. I mean, they could get decent money for Højlund. Onana's difficult because I don't think anyone's going to pay anywhere near his book value. So we're probably stuck with him for another year unless they really want to get aggressive on the losses. On the incomings, it's been pretty good. I mean, we've got the forwards we needed. I like the look of Sesko. He's not the finished product. I think everyone believes he's got a really high ceiling, including...
He's going to fucking need one. He's 20 feet tall.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Absolute big bastard unit. Great in the air. Build-up plays not nearly as bad as some have made out, I think. And it's getting in the right places to get off enough shots that he's going to score more goals, I think is the next step in his career.
Also, for Leipzig, he was coming deep a lot because that was how they wanted him to play. He's not spending a lot of time in the box. The first thing I would say, I agree with you. If we were to get Baleba, and we'll come to him, and a keeper, that is... I don't really like judging this shit because the idea was we watch the players play before deciding whether the transfers worked or not. But yeah, if you'd have offered me the three that we've got, Baleba and a proper goalkeeper, yeah, I would have said thank you very much. I think one reservation I do have, and it's not exactly a reservation, but it is a reservation, is it's all a bit fucking artless, isn't it? That the classic United team, and just goes even the babes had Tommy Taylor, even the next Busby team had Dennis Law. The classic United team is a few expensive signings, a few clever signings, and some kids. And it feels like we're just spaff in as much money as we can and hoping, not hoping that we get the right players, obviously doing the work to get the right players. But I feel like we're losing a little bit of identity, maybe. And what might happen is, and I hope these players come, and Cunha, loads of attitude, so we love him. And Sesko hopefully comes and we're like, okay, this guy's great. And we build relationships with them as individuals, because that is a lot of what this is about. When people think about it, who are your favourite players you've ever seen play for United? For me, Ronaldo is not in my top 20, even though he's the best by far. Like, there are some who I like because they were good, and there were some who I like because they were good, but also I like them because they kicked people, like Norman Whiteside or Brian Robson. And then there are others who I like because I think as individuals, I love Darren Fletcher. And that's not just about the football. That's just because I think everything I've ever seen or heard about Darren Fletcher is Darren Fletcher's a mensch. I like Wes Brown because he likes smashing people into the stands and looked like he knew how to have a good time. So it's about building these personal relationships with players. And if they're Mancunians or they're coming through the youth system, that's easier to do because you've already got a love in common or whatever. And so it feels like, well, all the big Premier League clubs have said, all right, mid-ranking fuckers, to your Brightons, your Bournemouths, your Brentfords, you've got a bit too good for our tastes here, in that we're not sure when we play you if we're going to win. And what's happened is the big clubs have gone and spent an absolute shit ton of money, some of it relieving those clubs of their best players. And it's quite interesting to see how that plays out, because what used to be the case is you take those players and those teams will be fucked because they're reliant on those players and they couldn't replace them. Now they're getting massive dollar for them. And also there are so many more good football players in the world than there've ever been before that they could go and replace them with someone as good or better, because there's never been a bigger pool of players from which these guys can pick. So if you look at Brighton, I can't remember if they were there at the same time, totally, or there was an interregnum or whatever, but they sell Caicedo and they get Baleba. Baleba is as physical as Caicedo, but better on the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. And English teams right down to the bottom team have more money than almost anyone in Europe, so can go and spend that money on getting replacements of very, very high quality. To come back to your original point there about the relationship, the connection between academy players or local players and the fans, and it cuts both ways, doesn't it? So one of the reasons why people are so pissed off with Alejandro Garnacho's stupid social media activity, because it seems to be anti-club, right? And he's decided he's not one of us anymore. And it has that kind of perception. I think it's just a matter of his extreme childishness, but he distanced himself. But that identity does really matter. And there's a real chance that 4,000 odd games and 80 years of an academy player in the matchday squad will end this season. Toby Collier's going out on loan. Who else is there?
Kobbie Mainoo. Anyway. I mean, Keith doesn't really count either, Toby Collier. We bought him from Brighton.
Yeah. Well, that's right. And so Kobbie Mainoo's the last one. So unless some of those youngsters, some of whom we saw on the tour, so like Tyler Fredrickson and the Fletcher brothers and Jack Morehouse and so on, right?
Morehouse has gone on loan, hasn't he?
Morehouse has gone on loan. Ethan Wheatley probably gone on loan, didn't have a great loan at Walsall last year. So the few of them that were on the edge of the squad might not be available for the squad. And it really will be on Kobbie Mainoo. And he's missed 17 and 21 games in the last 2 seasons. His body's still adjusting to being a grown-up and not a child. And there's a real chance that record will go. And on the identity thing, like just not that many locals in the squad, right? And I think that does matter to some extent. You know, it's not everything. It's an international game, but
it matters to us. It doesn't matter to Chelsea, say.
Yeah,
it just depends on the club culture, I suppose. But again, like we signed Ole. Everyone loved Ole. He was a random who we signed. So it's not just about parochial. Where are you from? It's about. I mean, as Ian Rakeem said, it ain't where you're from. It's where you're at.
Right.
I think Ian Brown later repeated it and attributed it to himself, but definitely Rakeem said it first. And also age 16, I think. If we're talking about young players, Eric B. and Rakeem, I think Rakeem was 16 or 17 when Paid in Full came out. Something ridiculous, which is astounding, really. But
I played that to my kids. I was like, lads, listen to this. And they were like, what? No, they weren't so not interested.
Before we started recording, I was listening to Left Field's Glastonbury set from 2000, which it's good. If I'm totally honest, it wasn't the earth-shattering, amazing set that I thought it was when I was at Glastonbury 2000.
Were you chemically enhanced at the time? Don't answer that, Daniel.
I was, proper honeymoon period, actually.
Yeah.
But I think that, talking, actually, I just had a thought in my mind about Šeško, which the interesting thing about him is actually, if we look at the strikers that have been bought this summer, I think I'm doing this in chronological order. Chelsea go Delap, then they go João Pedro, then Arsenal go Gyökeres, then Liverpool go. Can't wait to hear that said properly in Scouse accent.
In Scouse, yeah.
Almost. I think he may be even better than Ross Barkley going. That I can supply evidence of. That I've got a video of. And then we go and buy Šeško. So we've gone. Was it 6th? And might we still have the best player? And that's perhaps the only. I think in terms of the tactics, but perhaps the only way that we were going to get it was getting whoever was left. But I'd say the best technician out of them is Akatika.
Yeah.
Like he's like beautiful.
He is silky on the ball.
Yeah, beautiful feet. But Delap is not going to be better than Šeško. He's not. Gyökeres.
No, I mean, they've got very similar data profiles, but you wonder whether Šeško's got more to come and Delap that's what he's got.
He's faster, he's bigger. He's also Delap, watching him, I had to watch a bit of the Club World Cup for work, and it sort of felt like you're trying to like put yourself about, like knock people over because you're trying to curry favour with these new supporters. But yeah, like a good centre forward is more thinking about, I'm just going to score goals. I mean, it's funny what happened with Delap, because obviously he goes there, rejects us, and then I think we might have signed Šeško even if we had signed Delap as it goes, because you can't rely on Delap. It was just cheap and they saw some value. But then they signed João Pedro, which is actually also quite funny. If he signed Donnarumma, having re-signed James Trafford, having left because he wasn't going to get to play. But I think that Šeško to me looks like a really good all-round situation. That you mentioned the first touch. I think he's at that stage where the first touch is erratic. It's not a situation where I watch him in the same way where I watch Højlund and I think, cool, that first touch. Or even Elanga, I always felt the same about Elanga, who was someone I thought was good in the youth, watching him play at age group football. But as soon as he got into the first team, I was like, oh, like I love your attitude, really fast. Because felt initially like I had the agility of a winger and the knack of a centre forward, and so I was really excited to see how he got on. But then as soon as he got on the first team, and you see the first touch, and you think it feels unlikely that if your first touch is this at this point, why isn't it better? Because you're with strikers particularly, but with footballers in general, like the touch is sort of the thing that you always have. It doesn't mean it can't improve. Andy Cole's massively improved, but I didn't.
There's other stuff that improves more, which is box efficiency, as they call it, where to be and what runs to make at the right time, which is what Victor Gyökeres credited Ruben Amorim with helping him develop at Sporting.
Well, that's good, because he's got Šeško to do that with now. And so Gyökeres, I don't think that Arsenal think Gyökeres is better than Šeško.
No, he's a right now player.
But it's just, they know Šeško has more natural ability and a higher ceiling, but Gyökeres is already the best version of himself. And they need someone to come in and do it now. I didn't want Gyökeres. I felt like I didn't like what I'd seen of him. I mean, I admire his drive and his desperation to be the best that he can be. And I think I think he'll score goals, but yeah, he's not someone I would want to drop 65 million on, who might not be good enough really. And in 2 years is already 30. So I'm happy. I'm out of that selection strikers. I think the thing with him is I'm not sure he's a killer. And when he played at Frankfurt with Marmoush, I think most people felt like Marmoush was was the better player, which isn't to say that being slightly less good than Marmoush doesn't mean you're good, because I think Marmoush is a good player.
Mhm.
But Šeško looks like someone you could watch and be like, oh my goodness, what the fuck is this guy? Like a Borg sent from the future to haunt the present.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to score some thunder bastards this year as well, because he really does strike the ball cleanly.
I mean, it's insane. He looks sometimes, and his strikes look like he's playing on fast forward for people that you remember videos. And the only other player I felt that about, and I don't really want to make this comparison because this guy is the greatest centre forward I've ever seen, but when I first saw Ronaldo Nazario, it felt like, hang on, it looks like the other guys are playing almost in slow-mo or normal speed, and you're playing on fast forward. I could literally, like, the first time I saw that guy play, it was the first year my parents got Sky. It would have been the year he was at Barcelona, and I was in the lower sixth, I think, and was basically spending every night sitting in alleyways, getting high, or going to the pub and nipping out for spliffs to watch football. And the excuse was often I got to go and watch the football because we didn't have Sky. So my parents get Sky, and obviously nothing changes apart from the fact that I've now got Sky. But that was my first real. I'd heard about him, but that was my first real acquaintance with Ronaldo. Like all the lads at school, obviously had Sky already, had seen a bit more of him and whatever. But it was genuinely jaw dropping. And I told my dad that he was brilliant. And then the night before the 1998 World Cup, and even though he wasn't that good in it all the time, it was when he plays in it, my dad was like, okay, I understand what you were saying.
Yeah.
And Šeško has that as well, where it's not just, it's a physical thing partly where he looks like fucking Gulliver, but it's also, as you said, like when he hits the ball, it almost seems to speed up off his, as it goes along, and it looks to be going faster than anyone else manages to hit football.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's not just a factor of like with some of these young players that City and Liverpool sell, one of the things they've managed to do really, really well is sell players. And I think this was true of Elanga as well, who are physically ahead of their peers at age group level. And then when they get into the first team, you're like, maybe not. They can't cut it because that physical dominance doesn't give them an advantage anymore. That's not the case with Šeško. He's just a big fucking bastard, and he will dominate, and he'll get us free goals, or cheap goals, because that you mentioned on the Tactics pod, Brian and Mbeumo floating one to the back post. He's going to score some cheap goals. It won't be the primary method, the primary game model, but we will get some like that. And the other thing is those long diagonals where we can't get out, can't play out, pressed. Onana has to boot it long. It will stick with him as well in a way that it just hasn't for Højlund for the last couple of years.
And teams won't want to press when they know that in behind you've got him and Mbeumo, who if
Quick,
they go,
rapid,
they're not players who are quick enough. They're players who, if they go, you're not getting them, and that gives us good attacking options. Mbeumo and Cunha, I like the mix of the two, a winger and a midfield player, sort of.
Yeah.
One wants to come deep, one wants to run in behind more, one's more likely to drop wide, one's more likely to attack the box, and one's left-footed, one's right-footed. And I also different kinds of personality. Like what Mbeumo, I think, wants mainly to score or to assist. Cunha wants lots of touches. I really like the combination. Both are players I'd seen play for other teams against United, but just generally, I'm a sports writer, I watch a lot of football, who I thought were good. I'd never coveted Mbeumo. Cunha I was getting there with. I remember after he played really well at Anfield about March, and I messaged a mate who'd said, I like Cunha. I mean, obviously, you don't have to be a genius to spot that he's a good player, but he played really well at Anfield, and I thought, this guy will like playing for United. And so I don't know if they would have been the two that I'd picked, but what they're trying to do here, and this partly allows them to gamble on Šeško, is they're spending what they know to be a lot of money, but they're trying to eliminate as much risk as they possibly can.
Yeah.
Premier League proven players with good mentalities who are hitting their peak.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but all the variables that you could take out, the only variable that is left is the talent drain that is the post-Fergie wilderness years.
Yeah. And I think you're right about the profiles. They are two very interesting journeys for those two. And Mbeumo's got better year over year, right? I'm not sure at 20, people have been saying he was going to be a £70 million player.
The guy
Or
at
not.
Troy's, someone at Troy's,
Yeah.
Troy, was it Troy's or Troy?
Troy, I think, yeah.
When Brentford signed him, said this, you're getting someone who, I can't remember if it was the Brentford person or the Troy person. They said this guy's going to be a world-class player.
There you go. And Cunha, reinvented himself twice, because he was really a sort of forward at Hertha, then failed at Atletico in a very, very different system, probably the wrong profile player for that team, and then has reinvented himself basically as a midfielder who plays in wide forward areas. As you say, I mean, it doesn't matter that it's a 3-4-3 or a 4-2-3-1 or whatever. He would be the left-sided forward. He likes to link, drops deep, will play in the half spaces.
And really understands the role.
Really understands the role.
Because he's played it. And also, Wolves played the system of Vitor Pereira. Like, they proved it worked.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
He knows what to do.
Yeah. So I don't know. What do you give the market as a number? I mean, I reckon this is like a 7.5 out of 10. It would be a 10 out of 10 if we got Baleba and a goalkeeper.
If we get, and I think we will, and I'll tell you why. Jim Ratcliffe, who incidentally, and that is still a cunt. That's not he is not going to make us forget about what he's done for ticket prices, what he's done kicking people out their communities in Old Trafford, what he's done firing working people under the guise of we can't buy players unless we sack these people. No, mate, fuck off. Number one, right? Manchester United have money, so this brings it to Baleba, right? Because what my guess with Baleba is that they have decided probably that they're going to pay what Baleba costs, and there will be a price, and it won't be 150 million quid. It will be somewhere in the region of up to 120, probably with add-ons. And the reason why I think this is United's PSR. Correct me when I'm wrong. United's PSR situation is about Reddies, but because United are United, there's a revolving credit facility. They can borrow money. They don't want to keep borrowing money because if they borrow money, then there'll be less money available next season. But let's say they don't get Baleba this summer and they don't get a midfield player. What's going to happen next summer? They're going to get a midfield player. Who's the midfield player going to be? It's going to be Baleba. And is he going to be more expensive or less expensive? It's going to be dearer and there's going to be competition. So what would be the point? It makes no fucking sense to not get that player this summer for less money and to have him for a year. And United have Jim Ratcliffe, right? I doubt is a patient man, but also he's trying as his legacy to make United great again. He's also old. He doesn't have time to kick around.
Forever.
He doesn't have time to kick around. And also, what happens, right? If United are shit from now until November, what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to fire another manager for more money, make yourself look even more of a Charlie than you did last time. Not even more. Like last time, that was totally your fault. But make yourself look a total Charlie again. There's going to be aggravation from the supporters who are going to say, you don't know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. But also, how can you justify firing Ruben Amorim, who you're invested in as a bloke you think is good? You picked him. Where you picked Ten Hag, you picked this guy. This guy comes to you and says, this is what I need. I need goals. I need 3 forwards. Okay, here are your 3 forwards. I need a goalkeeper and I need a midfield player.
Yeah.
If you don't get him, the goalkeeper and the midfield player, when he told you he needed them, and you have to fire him in November, you're going to look like more of a dickhead than he does. Yeah. So all those things combined. So I think the money's available ultimately because we can borrow it. Obviously, we want to generate it with sales, but we can borrow if we have to.
We can,
Bearing in mind that we're just going to borrow it next year, so it makes no sense. And it helps us avoid firing a manager they don't want to fire and spending more money firing the manager, spending more money buying someone else out of a contract. Can you even get the person that you want? And then we have another Ole situation. It's just, if we're so shit until November that they have to fire him and they haven't got him these players, they're going to have a real problem.
Absolutely.
If we do get him these players, if we do get him Baleba and we do get a goalkeeper and it's still so shit you've got to fire the manager, that's the manager and the player's fault. That's not the
absolutely. I agree with your analysis of the strategy and the thinking there. I think that's why they've been more aggressive than perhaps many of us thought they would be in the market. The numbers, United's PSR position is perfectly fine this year. We know this because Mark Critchley at The Athletic did a lot of very good reporting about exactly how they constructed their P&L. The PSR position next year, it doesn't look as good. I have a spreadsheet tracking all of this, and just it's so fucking
Me
sad,
watching.
isn't it? Yeah, that's it. Not on Pornhub, I'm on an Excel spreadsheet. Oh yes, PSR, it's good stuff. It doesn't look that good next year, but I think they're making two assumptions there. One, they can sell, Marcus Rashford next year, which helps with that, and possibly even Bruno. They always have that nuclear button if they need to. It may make sense from a squad development point of view next year as well. And then not on the borrowing, there's unlimited money, right? We know from the SEC filing that they have extended their credit facility with the Bank of America. That doesn't mean that's the ceiling, right? They will do 600 and something million pounds of turnover this year. It will be even more if they get into the Champions League again. They can borrow and borrow and borrow. I don't think that's really the problem, right? It was self-enforced that we will live within our means. Now, living within your means could be, hey, we're pretty confident we're going to sell some players, and that will allow us for this financial year to live within our means. You're stacking up a lot of costs there, for sure, of course. If they spunk 100, 110, 120 million on Belabor. But United as a club can do this, and they can definitely do it if they're in the Champions League. And the whole reconstruction on all the cuntery around firing people and the drama around like not having snacks at work and all of this kind of stuff, that took 50 million out of the annual cost. And the whole reason for being such a bastard is that he can then go and, wave his big dick in public in the transfer market and say, here you go, here's your players.
And think that would be cool with us. And it isn't. It's complete bullshit. And I think one thing we know, and we learned it when we had austerity in England, and then we had COVID, and suddenly there was the banking crisis. There was money for the banks, and then there was money for COVID. And that tells you, I mean, you knew at the time, but this shit is a choice.
Mm-hmm.
You could have found another way of doing this, and you chose the easiest, most vicious way because you're a capitalist and you're a Tory and you're a polluter and all of these things. And there are various different ways of distinguishing between what is capitalism, what is socialism, or whatever. What is right-wing thought, what is left-wing thought. And one is to do with national ownership of industry versus private ownership of industry. But another way of looking at that difference is to say, well, socialists or social democrats or left-wing people think that inequality is bad. And right-wing people, capitalists, conservatives or whatever, think that that's something that's baked into the system and it's fine. And Jim Ratcliffe is that. He thinks that inequality is okay. It's fine. That it's not how do we get rid of all this inequality. It's like, how do I make the best of my personal experience of it? And so, yeah, there was not a will to try not to relieve those people of their jobs. Because if there was, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, the method of doing it, you can make an argument around the strategy from both a organizational point of view and a P&L point of view, and then you can make an argument about how to do it. And every single time, it was the quickest, most brutal way of doing it possible. So, yeah. And
I'd say I agree with you on Bruno. I mean, I don't know, obviously. But I just know for myself, like, I know that I love Bruno Fernandes. For everything that fucker's done for United in this fucking, frankly, appalling time it is to be United. And if I would have thought about selling him this summer. I want him to leave. I don't want us to get good without him being around. But I feel like United have already replaced him. Bruno Fernandes is not Amorim's ideal choice for an 8 or a 6. But he also loves Bruno Fernandes as a character and a footballer, so he was never going to push him out, because you can't be as shit as we were and sell your best player on purpose, really. It just wouldn't look good, it wouldn't feel good. Like, where's your leadership coming? Because we don't know what Bruno does in training and in the dressing room, but I think we can guess.
Yeah,
it would have been. So I think that Amorim wanted to keep him around ideally, but I also think that if Bruno said, I'm going, Amorim would have said okay, and the club would have said okay, because the money that we would have got would have meant a much easier rebuild. But also, I think that Bruno's position really is in the 10. And we've signed 2 10s who are faster and stronger and more physical than him. I don't think they have his genius for making goals happen.
Definitely
don't know if they have his leadership, his ability to drag a team with him. And he hasn't done it in a couple of massive games where I really fucking wanted him to, like the Spurs and Villarreal finals, really.
Mm-hmm.
But we've seen enough of it to know that he's someone you can rely on in big moments. And I'm sure the club wanted that, but I feel like we've replaced, assuming Amorim manages to stay in the job, we've replaced him already with Cunha and Mbumo, and in the two positions behind that, then maybe we don't sign Ballet, but if we don't, then we're going to have to buy someone else. We're going to see the same shit. And next to him will be Bruno. But if you ask me, and we'll probably come to this, I wouldn't play Bruno there on Sunday. So, And Mainu, I think I hope that they're preparing to play alongside whoever the signing is, and to be that midfield player. And so by next season, I would hope that Mainu has progressed enough and proved enough for us to say, well, how do we leave this fucker out now, even in this system? I hope that we've signed Baleba, and that's also the case with him. And then we've got Bruno, for me, will be competing with the players, with Cunha and Bumo to play as one of the 10s. But yeah, it felt like, even though he didn't go, it felt like the transfer activities this summer sort of felt like the beginning of the moving away from Bruno.
Mm. Well, you have to be really bloody sure that you've got the right man as a coach if you're going to do something like that. If you're going to sell one of the world's best players, one of the world's best, most creative players, and all the chance creation, and he's miles ahead of everyone else on the planet in terms of the number of chances he's created over the last 5 years, you have to be really bloody sure that you're constructing a squad that looks right and you've got the right coach. Because if you then go 4 months later, actually, he's not the right guy, we're going to bring in someone else who wants to play with the number 10, and you just spaffed off your man to Saudi or wherever, then you're going to look really bloody stupid. And there was a report this week that not only Baleba, but they also want Adam Wharton. Very, very different profiles of player, right? So similar kind of money, but very different profile. Wharton, a progression monster, the reincarnation of Tony Cruz, basically, but English and with a number 1 haircut and all of that. And
maybe he likes darts.
And like
Tony Kroos loves darts.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's the kind of transfer market. In terms of squad, I mean, if you were rating all the different sections, goalkeeper is obviously a problem, right? We've got a problem with the number 1 and a problem with the number 2.
I can't believe how like that the Bayern situation where all that guy needs to be is competent. Like, needs to be, and you could pick almost any goalie on the planet to be the number 2, just to don't drop bollocks. That's really all you need from a number 2 goalkeeper. And we got this guy. It's
funny, when we got him for £5 million, Turkish international goalkeeper, we got him for £5 million. Everyone's like, £5 million, bit bloody cheap. Yeah, now we know why. And so that's a sort of 5 or 6 out of 10, I think, the goalkeeper situation. I'm less worried about the...
What? Excuse me? On what basis? On what basis is it a 5 or a 6 out of 10?
You think it's even worse than that?
It's nowhere near. 6 is like, I got 60 something in history A level was an A.
Hey, hang on a minute. I got an A for a history A level.
In 1997, the board that we did, it was meant to be different. I don't know. But what I'm saying is 6 out of 10 is not humiliatingly, embarrassingly, shamefully shit. And that's what our goalkeeper situation is. I mean...
Fair enough. The defence I'm less worried about. I mean, you can say there's limitations. I mean, there's certain limitations with Maguire and De Ligt on pace, and with De Ligt on his passing. They're good box defenders. Aiden Heaven, I think there's a lot of upside there. We don't know how it'll develop. Lenny Yoro is already
a lot of upside to Heaven.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Lenny Yoro is already the best defender we've got. Dalot, yeah, very limited. We know he's not going to suddenly deliver 15 assists a year or anything like that, or remember that there's someone running on his blind side, or 1, yeah. Dorgu, I like the look of. I think it is raw still. The final product is not really there, but there's an awful lot to like. And Martinez, well, who knows when he comes back whether he'll be the Martinez of old. He wasn't when he came back from the last injury.
But he was sort of just getting there. I mean, he's someone, like you sometimes have these players and it's like, I'll always love you for. And him and Varane I will always love for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
For that cup final performance. Yeah. It doesn't really matter what else they do. But I mean, I hope it works out for Martinez because he's been very good for us most of the time. And it felt like he was just getting back to a level when he got injured again. Yeah. But yeah.
And the rest of the defenders, sure, probably his last season at the club. I hope he has it would be nice for him to go out if this is his last season, which I assume it is, with playing well and being fit. Mazraoui, I like as an all-rounder. You're right, he probably won't start.
Great for the squad.
Great for the squad. Yeah, really good footballer. Can play in multiple positions, left or right side of the central centre-back, wing-back at a push, although I don't like him there. Physicality is an issue. Have I missed anyone out? I mean, it's a decent selection of defenders and wing-backs, I think.
Yeah, I think Dorgu's someone that we need to see a big leap forward from this season. Yeah. But I think pre-season has been promising.
Yeah. Well, especially since we basically bought him and sold off the guy who's just gone to Real Madrid. We kind of need to justify that decision-making. Ten Hag, man, I'd send him to The Hague. What a crime that man was. Central midfield. I mean, Baleba would be transformational because it's unbalanced. And our whole discussion around Menu and Fernandes and Ugarte and Casemiro is because you can't construct two. If it was a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, if it was three in the middle, you're like, no problem. You can find balance in there because you have Ugarte sitting, Menu is the link player and Bruno's the 10. You're like, okay, that makes sense, right? That's good enough for the top six.
The thing with Ugarte is, though, is he's not exactly a sitter. He's sort of someone who gets the head to like rat the ball.
Oh, he likes to counter-press.
Right. So I know what you mean, though, and I think almost everything we've said until this point is academic. If we don't get Baleba or someone else, because we'll see the same shit. We
will see problems in central midfield.
We'll see our struggle to build the play, and we'll see teams waltzing through the middle of our midfield again. And I feel the same about the goalkeeper. You'll be watching a game, we'll be in it, and then he'll do something.
Quite possibly on Sunday when one flies over his head into the top corner from a Rice corner or something like that, where Pedro Amel, no holding at corners, where there'll be 4 Arsenal blockers, 2 crowding the keeper, and another guy holding back Harry Maguire from making a challenge, and the ref will go, all right, mate, no problem. Further forward, I mean, it's interesting what they've done because they've swapped, you could make an argument, theoretically, that of all the players in forward positions that we've got, that Marcus Rashford still has the highest ceiling of all of them. We haven't seen it for 2 years, Is Cunha as good as Marcus Rashford's best? Probably not, but he's going to give you 7 or 8 out of 10 every single week. He's going to do that.
He can also do different stuff to Rashford.
He does different stuff too.
Rashford also in this formation, he's not really one of the 10s. Rashford.
No, and he knows it, and Amorim knows it, and they probably had that conversation, which I think, reading between the lines, is basically what Amorim said, because he wasn't rude about him, and he could have been. So it's a different forward line. We hope it works, right? We haven't seen these 3 players together. We haven't really seen Mbeumo and Cunha together yet.
Yeah, barely seen Mbeumo at all, yeah. But we know they both know how to score. They know where the goal is, and it's not always about does Rashford have a higher ceiling than these guys? It's more about how we think they fit and how they mesh into the team. And I think as I said, Cunha can do stuff that Rashford can't do. Like
he will drop into those half spaces and link play. Yeah,
he's a better ball carrier and he's got better feet in small places. One of the things that used to really get on my tits about Rashford was that he'd sort of burrow into the box with no apparent idea of how he was going to get out of there. Yeah. But he was,
and when he was in great form, it worked because he would shoot early, and when he wasn't in great form, he'd just run down a blind alley, and it happened over and over, and the crowd would get on his back, deservedly sometimes. And you'd be frustrated because he'd do it 5 or 6 times a game. And he really needed to be in the mentality where he was going to cut inside, shoot early. And when he was out of form, he just never did that. Cunha will do something different. It'll be interesting to see whether they work out that Sesko is not just someone to hang it up to, but also you need to release the ball early. Arsenal find this problem with Gyökeres as well. He likes early ball release. Arsenal do not do that, basically ever, and so they will have to adapt to the player. Will United adapt to Sesko, or will United work out this is the way you play with Sesko? Amorim's teams construct those overloads in wide areas and then play the cutback. That's not exactly how. That's the fox in the box, So is this how they'll use Sesko? Maybe, but they've got two ways of playing now.
But it's also, he also wants channel runners. He wants and Sesko will absolutely do that. He'll run the channels, and it's also not just about the cutbacks. It's about, if you think you've got the two, and the one, it's about those five being on a sort of a vertical line, if you imagine one, and being able to turn the ball around the corner into the space from high up the pitch for Sesko to attack them. And
all right, what do you? We didn't go. I gave a 6 out of 10 to the goalkeepers. You laughed me out of that. Defense, defense feels like a 7 to me because I think it's pretty good. I mean, you could see that defense being much higher up the table than we finished last.
Yeah, 6. I mean, we'll see, because I mean, Yoro is 9 out. It could be a 9 out of 10 player.
Mm-hmm.
Not totally sure about the others, but yeah, I'd say the defense 6, 7 out of 10.
Mm. Yeah, and midfield probably for me is like a 6, I guess. And it's not because they're not talented players; it's because they just don't fit together. And Baleba changes.
If we don't get Baleba or equivalent, then it's a 4 because it will be subpar. That's not because I don't think that Bruno and Mania are wonderful. I do, but it won't work, and it will be a weakness, and teams will target it, and we'll be sitting there having the same fucking conversations every week that we've been having for the last several years.
2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's potential there. With one more player, if we get Baleba, then the midfield starts being a strength.
Yeah.
Until we get that player, whether it's him or someone else, it's a weakness. Even though,
and further forward, it's hard to give a number to that. It looks good on paper, doesn't it? I mean, you've got Cunha and Bumo, Sesko, Højlund, if he stays, probably doesn't. Chido Obi as backup, Ahmad,
Xerxes,
Bruno, and Mount and Xerxes can all play in those positions.
Mount's been good in pre-season, actually.
He has been, and Amram loves him.
He's a good
verbally jacking him off at every opportunity. Just
is that talking dirty to him?
Yeah, that's he badly does. Then they have little phone calls together late at night.
Yeah.
Oh, I love you, Ruben. Oh, I love you, Mason. So. Yeah, I mean, he has been good. I just don't know where he fits. I mean, he still hasn't. He talked about him as an 8. He said he can be the player who links. He said it in his press conference today, but I don't see him starting alongside Duarte in central midfield. So he's someone who comes on late in games to try and control it from the front. Is he? I mean, it's hard to say.
When you need a goal, he knows where the goal is. Also, I mean, he's good to have for the squad. He's never going to be a first choice.
Doesn't seem like it, yeah. All right, before we go, some rash predictions.
Okay.
I've been watching all of these, right? And every single one of them I've seen basically assumes you got United from last year was something slightly better. So they're putting United between 8th and 12th.
Yeah, it won't be that.
It's not going to be that. I just think people are like basing it on, it's just mad. The Opta model had United in 12th. I'd like, if United are anywhere near there by November, Ruben is out of a job, right? It just can't happen. I'm expecting 6th or 7th. If we don't get Baleba, and maybe even higher than that if we do, it's a good enough squad that it should be in this league where the top teams have spent money, but the middle ranking ones haven't really, right? Aston Villa are not better than they were last season. I don't think Newcastle are. Spurs, well, I mean, it'd be interesting if they do spaff 70 million on Savinho or whatever.
No,
that's the right one.
They're getting Eze now, aren't they?
Are they?
And that's one where it's like, if I'm Eze and I've stayed at Palace till I'm 28, so one move.
They need to go to Spurs.
Go fucking Tottenham. I mean, I genuinely thinking about staying at Palace and just being an absolute legend at Palace. I mean, I know that they want to test himself in the Champions League. I totally understand that. But he's already one of Palace's greatest ever players.
But you get a 5-year contract and that'll be 1 year. Not making it in next season.
No, I know. But at least you get one opportunity. But it's just, I guess no one else, he hasn't got a better offer. But if I was him, I'd be feeling a bit ill, thinking I probably have to do this, but don't actually want to do this.
Yeah, lovely player. I mean, obviously wouldn't fit at United with our current squad construction. It seemed like Arsenal were interested, so who knows?
I mean, they stopped.
So what do you reckon? 6th, 5th, 6th?
4th.
For United?
No, I'm going to go
4th.
I think that I still don't think Chelsea are good, and I can't believe that playing in the heat through July isn't going to affect them at some point.
Yeah, I think it will.
However many players they've got. We've got absolutely no idea what City are going to be like this season.
But partly for that same reason as well. So short preseason, might not start the season really well.
But also, has the game moved on? Has Guardiola moved with it? Is Rodri going to come back and be as good as he was? Is Rangers going to be good? Don't know. Do they have good enough wingers? Don't know. Who else have they bought? They've bought Aït-Nouri, haven't they? He's a good player.
Aït-Nouri, very good player, yeah, like him. And obviously Marmoush had half of last season.
Also a good player, but
very good player, yeah.
You're not looking at them now and thinking we're in trouble there.
Mm.
And maybe that's partly because United are a bit better and have players who want to forget about the tactics and systems for a second. Individually, so I bet Guardiola will look at that team and think, actually, there's some good fucking players here. They're players that I might have signed. It hasn't always been the case. So I'm not the team. And Liverpool also, they're changing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they'll sign a defender, but that midfield is still porous. Last season, they won the league because they scored a lot of fucking goals. They conceded the most goals of any champion side since United in 12-13. Maybe they get Gay and that improves it. But also maybe Van Dijk is another year older and he was busy blaming everyone else for 2 goals that he was helped concede against Palace and Charity Shield.
Yeah.
And they're still in that midfield. I mean, Gravenberch did well last season, but if I was Liverpool, I'd want an upgrade on him. I'd still don't think Szoboszlai is that good. And then you've got, what's his name, Wirtz and McAllister. So it's got...
Wirtz I like. I mean, he's a
really good footballer. He's excellent. But if you got him, he's a 10, and you need to balance that. So are you going to not play McAllister in some games? I mean, what's the balance?
Or he plays deeper with Gravenberch, as the 2 holders.
What's the balance? Yeah. What's the balance of that team going to be?
Yeah.
And also,
if it's Wirtz and Szoboszlai and Gravenberch, that does look porous, and they will concede goals. And
at some point, Salah's going to stop. And I don't know, but his season last season reminded me a bit of Van Persie's. I know Van Persie got injured, but the first season with Van Persie at United, where he basically spent the first 6 months of the season settled the league between August and January, and then did almost nothing else after that. And when Salah ran out, and he was never good again. And that's partly an injury thing. But when Salah was running out of form last season, I was kind of thinking, that makes sense. You're at this age, you've had a dead cat bounce, but do I think that Salah's going to deliver a season like last season, this season? I mean, I don't want to make myself a prick because he's obviously a brilliant fun. I might make myself a prick, obviously, I'm a prick. But I don't.
One.
Yeah, exactly. It intensifies. I don't think that he will do that. And so someone else is going to need to step up, and maybe they will. Maybe we'll go to score 30 goals.
Unlikely, I think, with him, but yeah. And of course, tragic, but they lost Diogo Jota, who's an important player for them. We don't know what effect that will have, both on the mentality of the squad, lost a friend,
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, the tragedy, but the grief could affect the squad. And there's a lot of tactical change. Slot didn't change much last season, and now it looks quite different in building up.
I think I've heard this week, but Arne Slot's the same age as me.
I mean, he would look at your career, Daniel, and he would go, I wish I could be there.
I wish I'd have signed him.
Yeah.
And I would refuse to, obviously. But yeah, so Liverpool changes, transition, buying from a position of strength and power and fear. Like other clubs will see what they sign and fear them. That is true. but it's not apparent to me. Like, they've replaced one right back who can't defend with another.
Mm-hmm.
They've replaced one left back who's not that good at defending with another who's
spends a lot of time falling over. Kirkes.
I think he's good. I think he's good. I think he's excellent. Yeah. But if I was a winger, I'd be targeting him and targeting the space in behind him. So even though I think they've spent money well and bought really good players, it's like when United won the league 3 years in a row, twice they pissed it. They then went and signed Veron and Van Nistelrooy, and they're probably, I would guess, I can't remember now, but I think this is true, they were the lowest priced favourites to win the league ever in the Premier League era, and they didn't, because football is a perfect game in the sense that you cannot perfect it. Add something in one area, lose it in another. And it's like it's like when you're trying to shave your sideboards, and you go up and you end up looking like a rugby league player.
Do you remember when Gary Neville did that once? And
yes.
He'd clearly done that. Yeah. Yeah, I think, it's not they won the league partly because they were brilliant and scored loads of goals last season, partly because everyone else fell away.
Yeah, I don't think they were brilliant.
So they are not perfect, Liverpool. Arsenal, I don't think they've changed their model, and I think that will still be the limitation. Arteta just cannot get over himself.
Which is weird because he's so little. You think he'd find a way.
Yeah, his tight little trousers and his tiny little balls. And City, the Club World Cup, I'm just kind of wondering. You'd imagine it would affect teams because you can't play a season that long and then have such a short pre-season, and it's totally imperfect as a way of preparation. So it might be that they are stronger in the second half of the season than the first. They've obviously got a massive squad and they can spend money again if they want to. May even do that before the end of the transfer window. How the 115 charges will impact them when that finally gets announced will be interesting as well. They should add 116th for the absolute crime of their third kit. Have you seen this one?
Is it worse than the Oasis? Definitely the Navy one.
Oh, God, way worse. It's a kind of grey kit with sort of light blue shading, and it's supposed to be rain, but it just looks like someone's jizzed on it and it's dried crusty. It's grim. It's absolutely grim.
Our kits, I think, I have seen this. Yeah, it is horrendous. Our kits,
horrendous.
Our kits, I actually think, are quite, and it's Puma. I mean, our kits are quite good this season as it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I love the third one. I mean, if we're going to do a third one, it should be traditional United colours. I don't think it should be. I didn't like the green and white stripes.
Oh, that was crap. That one. The pink one was shit as well.
Yeah, exactly. And or the kind of, what was the other one? It was slightly yellowy form of pink. That was grim. But bold colours, fine. Black, yellow, classic Eric flying into the crowd. All of that
actually reminds me of a Chelsea one from about 1996. I don't know if anyone remembers it. There was that, instead of the bright green, it had bright orange. And it's one of those when people design them, rather like the kit you're wearing now, that designers are thinking people are going to say shit about this, but it's going to go on to be a classic.
But this is a classic. I mean, did people make fun of this at the time? Rumblow's Cup final, all that?
Kit. Yeah. I got shit for that kit at school, definitely.
All right. So United, I'm saying 6th.
I'm saying 4th. What do we think they're going to do? What do you think they're going to do on Sunday?
I think they're going to come out the gate pretty strong. And I mean, I'm worried about that midfield construction. I'll be looking at the team sheet an hour and 10 minutes before kickoff. 4:30 kickoff, isn't it, on Sunday? What the midfield looked like. I guess he's going to go with Bruno and Ugarte in that midfield. I'd be a little worried about the transitions, but that is not Arsenal's strength. And what are the back three? It's going to be Maguire's played enough.
My team, my team would
Euro.
be. It won't be his team. I would go. I think I'd go Euro, Heaven, Shaw would be my 3.
Yeah, it won't be that.
No, it won't. It will be Euro,
Maguire,
and
Shaw.
And Shaw, probably, yeah. I think.
Yeah. And then wing back, obviously Dorgu, and I think he'll probably play Diallo ahead of him, or Ahmad ahead of him, with Boomer on the bench. Cunha, Sesko, he's kind of teased us.
He said he's fit.
Sesko's ready. Play him. If he's fit, he's got to play him, hasn't he?
I agree. So I would go Ahmad, Mainu, Ugarte, and Dorgu. And then in front of that, I'd go Bruno and Cunha and Sesko. And Bumo, if he's not fit, they say, then fine, he'd be on the bench, and I want something good on the bench to bring on.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like a bit more ballast in midfield because I want us to try and dominate this game. I don't just want us to try and score the goals to win this game. I don't think we'll lose.
No, I don't either.
Do you remember?
I think we're a little ahead of them in the preparation as well. Having seen a bit of Arsenal in pre-season, I think we are a week ahead as well, which does make a difference.
Do you remember 89-90? When Michael Knighton on the pitch. It's United Arsenal.
Yes, I do.
United have signed Webb, Phelan,
yes.
and there's
I was at that game. 4-1 against
4-1,
Arsenal.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we beat they're then defending champions. So that's where the similarity ends. But we're under new ownership, and we've got Fergie, who's obviously said to the board, I need fucking drastic action here. And they're giving it to him, and we smashed them 4-1.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously we end up, I think we finished 16th, third of relegation. 13th, 16th, end up winning the cup.
Yeah.
But
that was the best. That was the best performance Neil Webb ever put in for United. That one. I mean, he snapped his Achilles a couple of months later, and
it was in September.
September, wasn't it?
Played against England against Sweden. It was
never a player again after that.
Really,
he wasn't quick to start with, and he was definitely not quick after that. Yeah, modern medicine on all that. All right, we got Grimsby in the cup as well, in the League Cup. That'll be fun. I've been to Grimsby once, and it smelt funny.
I'm out of the country that night. So I actually, that's annoying because it's an opportunity. I'm not been to that. It's Blundell Park. Yes,
Blundell Park. Yeah.
I mean, who knows when I'm getting there next? But yeah, I was sad to miss that one.
Strong team. I hope he don't pull a Van Gaal and play all the kids. Yeah.
No. He didn't. Van Gaal didn't play didn't play the kids. He played people he wanted to sell. I think.
I think that was it. And they were shit. And then
I don't think Hernandez made. Is it Hernandez played? Does he play for United again? But no, Amorim can't afford to lose to Grimsby. It won't do that. He won't do that.
All right, that's our season preview. Thank you very much for listening to an hour of us make dicks of ourselves. As normal, we'll be back twice a week for the rest of the season. Tactics show, finance show as well. Daniel, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, everyone. Appreciate you.
Bye now.